Okay, follow along on your scratch paper with the Math on the Spot video.
Oh, hi. I'm just needing some clay I just made, some homemade clay. I'm about to make a big sculpture. And, actually, I'm going to put this aside because this reminds me of a fun math riddle. Isn't it amazing how math is all around us, and every time I'm doing something, no matter what it is, it reminds me of a riddle. Well, this clay does remind me of a really interesting story about Melinda. Let's take a look at it together and see how Melinda tried to solve an equation and made a classic mistake, which we will catch, and therefore Melinda would be our great teacher in having us understand equations that much better. Let's take a look at it together. Well, Melinda has a block of clay that weighs 14 4/10 ounces. Now, she divides the clay into 6 equal pieces. To find the weight, which she's going to call W in ounces of each piece, Melinda solved the equation 6W equals 14 4/10. Question is, let's take a look at what Melinda did and see if we can find her mistake. So, first of all, the thing we should notice is that W stands for the unknown quantity of the weight in ounces of each piece. And what's the thing we know about those pieces? They're going to be 6 pieces, each having the same weight. And that's going to actually contribute and be the entirety of the big block of clay she has. So 6 times the weight of each of those pieces will equal the total weight. So this equation actually is the right equation. So she wrote down the right equation, which I love. Love it! So I love that. Bing! Bing! Now, what's the next thing she does? Well, now what she wants to do is she wants to isolate just to have W by itself. So I love that idea too. And remember the rule. The rule is, the fundamental principle when looking at equations is, if you do something algebraic to one side, you got to do the same thing to the other side. So if you add something, add the same thing. If you subtract something, subtract the same thing. If you multiply something, multiply the same thing. If you divide something, divide the same thing. And the new equation will still be a valid equivalent equation. That's the key. So let's take a look at what she wants to do. Well, she wants this to have W by itself. We have 6 multiplied by W. So to undo multiplication, we could actually divide by W, divide by 6. So here she divides by 6. And check it out. So 6 times W divided by 6. What's 6 divided by 6? That just becomes a 1, so that's 1W. So that looks great. So I love it. And on this side, she has the 6 times 14 4/10. And if she works that out, she sees 86 4/10. Where's the problem? The problem here is that she didn't follow the rules. Right? She didn't follow the basic division property of equations, which means if you divide one side by something, you've got to divide the other side by something. And so here is the tragic thing. Because in fact, that should be division by 6. A division by 6. So this actually is not great, and therefore the answer is not right. Okay, well now, there's so much great stuff here that Melinda did. Let's actually capture the great things she's done and actually work through the question correctly and solve the equation. So, let's now, working with Melinda, say, okay, she got the beautiful equation, 6W equals 14 4/10. And so now what we want to do is we want to undo the multiplication by 6, and so what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by 6, and here we're going to divide this side by 6, but we're going to also divide this side by 6. Do you see the difference? She had a multiplication here. That was her only mistake. Now, 6 divided by 6 is just 1, so I have 1, and then the W still remains. So this is just a 1W. So 1 times W. And then 14.4 divided by 6, if we actually work that out, we get 2.4, or 2 4/10. And I'll just leave that for you to verify if you want. but there it is. And so now, what do we see? We see that we have that W by itself, which is the weight of each one of these 6 equal blocks of clay, is going to weigh 2 4/10 ounces. And that's the answer. And we could actually check the answer if we wanted to, by the way. We could actually check it. And it's easy to check our answers because all we have to do is take this and replace it with the W here. So if I take 6W, that means 6 times this value, 2 4/10. And what is 6 times 2 4/10? It turns out to be 14 4/10. And so it checks. And so it actually is correct. And so we see that each piece of clay, each one of these 6 pieces of clay, in fact, must be a block weighing 2 4/10 ounces. So, a great classic mistake here where we weren't actually using the division property of equations correctly. Remember, the basic rule is if you do it to one side, you got to do the exact same thing to the other side. This really is the fundamental key to unlock any equation. To keep an equation fair and balanced, if we do something to this side, some operation, we have to do the exact same operation to this side. That will lead us to an equivalent equation that's still valid. And if we kind of keep whittling it down, whittle, all the way down, we will get x equals something, or in this case, w equals something all by itself. That's what we want. We want to actually solve the unknown. Well, have fun thinking about mathematics and clay, and I will go back to my clay manufacturing right here and see if I can build us another great solution to another great riddle. I'll see you there.
All right, thanks for following along, and I'll see you on the next one.